As you can see here, we have this video playing where it looks as if there is no text at the beginning of this little animation here, and then slowly it appears to fill with looks like sort of flowing liquid. This is a pretty classic motion graphics thing, this sort of liquid fill, which you could probably find if you Google search or go to YouTube and just search any number of these things. You'll find some. And there's a variety of ways to do it, but I think the easiest way that I found is pretty simple. So let's go make a new project here. Do a composition. I'm going to make mine 1080 by 1080. This is like the Instagram sort of like classic thing. I think it's about as tall as it gets. But obviously you can make it as big as you want. You can make it 1920 by 1080, make the whole HD thing if you'd like. I'll make mine 60 frames a second just to keep things smooth, and I'll keep it, say for instance, around, I don't know, 10 seconds or so. And my background color for now, I'll just keep that sort of like a dark gray just so I can kind of see, but we're going to replace the background color in just a little bit here. Once again, recall this sort of gray color is nothing. This is your alpha channel. Oops, I did the bad thing here. I think we've talked about this before. So this right now my animation is only 10 frames long, not 10 seconds long. I'm gonna go to composition settings. What I did was I put 10 here where the seconds were without putting the 00 at the end. So you gotta make sure that you put that right, okay? So now it's 10 seconds long instead of 10 frames long. So you see here we've got 30 frames, so I'll have a second, all that stuff. Okay, so let's start off by just putting in a new solid. So layer, new solid. And this is where you're going to make some decisions about the way your thing's going to look. If you go to a website called coolors.co and see about this as well. So for instance, I'm going to start this generator here. Kind of cool. All right, so I'll just choose this for now. So I'll choose this to be like my dark background here, or maybe even this. I'll have a light background with some dark text on top of it. Okay, so here we go. Just Control V. Oops. Let's here. Make sure we have this copied. Edit. Copy it. Control C. Control V. Right. Okay, cool. All right, so we'll just have this be my background for now. And let's make a new text layer here, and let's just put some sort of text that you want. I'll put my name, and I'll put motion graphics afterwards, and I'll just make motion graphics a little bit smaller to fit beneath it. So this is just sort of the theme we do. Motion graphics here. And I might tighten up just the space between the letters, and I'll just grab the whole thing and just make the whole thing a bit bigger. Hold on, shift while you do this, and I'll center it, going to align and center it to the composition here. Once again, if you don't see that, you can go to Window, Workspace, Default, and if you still don't see it, then you can get a Reset Default to Save Layout. Okay, so with this, you can keep this white, or you can make the color whatever color you want. Just to kind of keep this visible here. I might make it like red for now, just to kind of make it visible. And let's go over here to Layer, New, and make a new shape layer. And with our rectangle tool, we'll just make a new shape layer here. Make sure it covers the entire thing, and change the fill color to something like one of these colors that we had before here. So let's change it to, say, for instance, I don't know, like maybe this one right here. This reddish color is kind of fun. So I'll go over here to fill. Oh, this is not the same. It doesn't work the same way as so I'll just Control C. All right. So here we go, and Control V, and one more time. Control V. Okay, cool. All right. So let's go over here. I'm going to say this real fast and just call this liquid text. And let's go over here to Effects and Presets, which is going to take a second. And let's look up the phrase turbulent, so T-U-R-B, and then find turbulent displace. And this is under the distort here. So we're just dragging that over onto our shape layer, right, like this, and immediately it starts to kind of have this little wobbly kind of look to it. Now let's open up the sort of effects tab down here and find turbulent displace. There's several things that we can do to make this move around. Like for instance, the word amount will kind of like make it wobble a little bit here. But then that kind of gives the sort of danger of it sort of not covering the text. We want this to cover the text. So amount, I might just keep it somewhere in the neighborhood of like 50. We don't really have to we can maybe a little bit more. Size, we'll kind of make it a little more intense in terms of like how big it radiates and stuff. So you can maybe like make this one, say for instance, I don't know, like 100 or so. And then offset will sort of have it ripple and stuff. So offset is probably the one we want to offset. And evolution is another one we could do as well. So both offset and evolution kind of help this sort of animate here. So whichever one you want to animate, offset or evolution, you can look at that. If you want to look at complexity as well, complexity will also kind of like, you can kind of mess with that. I wouldn't animate complexity. I would just keep complexity, constant. But let's. I'm going to choose evolution as my sort of keyframe animation, and I'm going to have it last about maybe 2 seconds. And I'm going to go from 0 to 2 seconds, and I'm going to have it evolve, say for instance, like twice here. And so let's see what this looks like. All right, that's cool. All right, neat. All right, so I'm just going to double check that this covers everything. So I'm going to get my my little move tool here and just sort of drag this outwards to make sure it covers everything, right? And so, yeah, that's good. So I want to make sure it covers everything. Okay, so with that done, I'll just click on this. I'll hit P for position, and I'll make a keyframe here. And I'll make a keyframe over here. And again, 2 seconds or so. And then I'll just scoot this down to where it doesn't cover this, right? So now you can sort of see what's happening here. It looks like liquid is filling this up until obviously it passes over. So now what we want to do is we want to have this fill essentially only be visible on the text. So I'm just going to click on my text, Control D, and then drag this up right here above it, like so. And then over here, you should see this little bug that says Track Matte. And if you don't see that, go down here to where it says Toggle Switches / Modes, in which case we toggle between like these switches here of like turning on motion graphics and 3D and whatnot to turning on whether or not you can sort of track it to something. And so in this case, I'm going to click on None and say Alpha Matte Labella Motion Graphics. So now what's going to happen is it's just going to show up almost as if like you're seeing through the text like that. And let's double check that that's going to happen here. Okay, so we're basically done with this. This is essentially all. Now everything else from here on out is simply just adding on to the complexity here. So I'm just going to click on both of these and Control D to duplicate these for both, right? And so I'm going to get my shape layer 2 here, and we should we go over here to the fill. Let me just go back to this and just grab this one here. I'll just copy this, and we'll go back over to our fill for this guy and just Control V. And what we'll do here is we'll change a few things about the effects. For instance, the turbulent displace, maybe instead of like amount, we could change the amount a little bit. Maybe we can change the size a little bit. Maybe we can even change the offset slightly. And maybe we can change the the complexity here a little bit, from like 0. So now we can kind of see, we can already see that it's a little bit different in terms of how it goes. But I want it to be, you can kind of, if you look right here, you can kind of see there's like the pale red, and then there's the dark red that sort of comes up behind it here. I want this to be just a little bit less like sort of in tandem. So I might just take this shape layer here and just sort of like drag it out a little bit, like a quarter of a second. So now the pale comes up, and then the red comes up behind it. So now we can kind of see that. So we'll do that one more time. I'll just Control D, and then we'll go over here to my shape layer here, and we'll add the third color. It's really dark red here. Control C. And then go over here to this and Control V. Okay. And one more time, we'll just go over here to our effects. Yep. And we'll go to our effects, and we'll once again just change the amount by a little bit here, and we'll change the size a little bit, and we'll change the offset some, and then we'll change the complexity some, right? And so once again, we should be able to see a real stark difference. Oh wow, yeah, that one's sloshing and slipping and sliding, all kinds of things. This is pretty cool, right? I like this a lot. Now, in this case, this one's too complex, I think. So maybe if we would like pull the complexity down some, we can, or even like offset. I wonder like what would happen here if we took the offset down, or the size down some here. Oh wow, that's cool. I like that a lot. That's really fun. So that's good. So we want it to be solid. Okay, and so once again, I'll have this come in a few seconds after everything else here. Maybe like So we have this. Very neat. All right, cool. All right, good. So the last thing we'll do is go down here to this text, and we can just go ahead and make this invisible. So now it looks as if there's nothing here until it starts to fill up. Very neat. Okay, so the last thing I'll do, I think, this pale yellow is fine. At any point, if you want to like change things, so we can just go over here and just change all this stuff. I can go over here to my transform, or even just like maybe just go over here to effect, generate a fill, and you can just the fill whatever you want. Mint green or something like that. It's kind of fun. All right, cool. All right, so let's just go ahead and export this, and this is it. This is all she wrote. All right, so I would like you to have some text. I would like you to have at least 3 of these different colors that you're going to fill in, and then I want to see that you've got it to where they're all staggered. And so at this point, we can make this 10 seconds, or we can even just cut this off at like around 4 seconds or so. So you would go over here, find this little blue chip right here, just drag that back down, and then you get that. All right, cool. Thanks for this. Turn this in before. Can't wait to see you guys produce. See you in class.